What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mo Awesome. Today we're going to be reviewing the TallBoy CC. More of a first impression because we've just had these bikes for a few days now. We may do a longer term review down the line, but for now we are going to talk about this bike overall, some things that we liked from our first few rides on this bike, some things that we may change or might not have liked as much, and just overall what the Santa Cruz TallBoy is all about. So without further ado, let's get into the video about the Santa Cruz TallBoy CC. For those of you new to the channel, me and my partner Hannah live in a van full time. We travel around, we document our adventures, and we share it with you guys. And from the time we do review mountain bike products and also bike related products as well. So if you guys are looking for a good time, consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so for those of you not familiar with the Santa Cruz TallBoy, this bike has actually been around for a while in different iterations. And fast forward a couple of generations, this is what you have. You have the TallBoy CC, which is a 120 millimeter 29er in the rear and has a 130 millimeter fork up front. You have a very slack, and I'm gonna emphasize the word very there, 65.5 degree head angle. They do have a 29er below this. It is a Santa Cruz Blur that's a little bit more cross-country specific. For the rear end of the bike, you do have adjustable chainstays on this, so you can change the chainstay length from short, and you can increase it by 10 millimeters to make it a little bit longer. So if you guys have been following VPP, that's the suspension design that Santa Cruz uses. It has gone through some changes over the years. One common complaint way back when was that the initial stroke on Santa Cruz bikes was a tad too stiff and they blew through the mid-stroke. They definitely improved upon that over the years, and this is what you have today. Essentially a suspension design that pedals really well, but at the same time still has enough traction in the initial stroke to not feel too stiff up there like you're losing traction, and also a little bit more support on the mid-stroke before firming up towards the end. Now before we get into the review part, I just want to say that we were able to get these demos from Pro Bike Supplies. They supplied the demos and allowed us to test the bike to make the video. They also take care of friends of the channel. If you give them a call and use code AwesomeMTB, they will help you out on your next build. They're super awesome guys over there. Definitely recommend hitting those guys up. Now a little bit about the bikes that both Hannah and I are testing. They have some similarities, but they're also kind of different build-wise as well. Here's where the differences start to come into play, and it's also what kind of gives the TallBoy two personalities: an aggressive, kind of more trail style feeling to the bike, and then in Hannah's case, a little bit more of a cross-country feel. So on mine, it is equipped with Zip Moto wheels. These wheels are a little bit more burly. They do have Minion DHF tires laced to it and an aggressor in the rear, and that tire choice is crucial right there because those tires are a little bit more on the beefy side. Now Hannah's build is a little bit more on the cross-country side, so she's got the Recon tire combo both front and rear, and a little bit of a lighter weight wheel set. You definitely notice the weight difference there. Now that less aggressive tire tread pattern on her tires combined with the wheel set, and like I mentioned earlier, going back to this bike having two personalities, or the ability to have two personalities via changing out some bike parts, I think that's going to be the coolest thing with the TallBoy, because so far from riding this thing, it is a really good climber, but depending how you build it, you can either make it a little bit more on the cross-country side or a little bit more on the trail enduro side. Now before we start breaking down how this bike does both uphill and downhills and our first impressions, let's go for a ride, bring you guys along, and get out there on the trails. All right, we are back on our test tracks here in Laguna Beach, well, Aliso, and we're gonna ride two trails, Lynx and Rocket, that we've done a lot of testing on. Are you excited to test it on cross-country bikes though?
Yeah, this thing is so freaking fast.
This is trail number one, a local favorite called Lynx. Okay, starts to get a little rutted over here. This trail definitely is a little on the faster side, but the head angle, as you can tell while riding this thing, man, it is slack. Coming in at 65.5 degrees. And I have Hannah leading. she does have the little bit more cross-country setup with tires with a little less tread. Here's this little loose, ruddy, steep section. No problem whatsoever. I feel very at home in the bike and haven't had that much time on it so far. So it's a good sign. Couple of straightaways. Woo! I'll do the same. Woo! Yeah. Whew. How was it?
So much fun. It's crazy how much more challenging short travel bikes make the trail. They're actually the same tires I'm going to be putting on my Ripley. They're the 2.4 Recons. Of course, the skin wall because gotta keep it classy. But they do have a lot. I feel like they have good traction for a cross-country tire, but at the same time, they're really fast and they're a lot more narrow than I'm used to. So I have to really be careful with my line choice.
So we are making our way up the notorious Choya climb. And anyone who's ridden a Liso probably knows the sensation that goes into your gut after making it to the top of this. A little nauseous. Hey, moment of truth, this is the section that really tests your in-shapeness. Hannah's got it. Oh, she crushed it. What about me? Oh, I crushed it too. That is definitely how you know if you've been eating too much at the family gatherings or during your shelter in place. Right now we are on Rocket Trail, another classic in Aliso Viejo, and we're making our way to the downhill section. It's a little bit of pedaling on this top part and shifting up and down, and this bike is equipped with SRAM AXS. I'm excited for the AXS that we bought and are going to be putting on our next build. Such a precise shift and somewhat instant as well. And here is the fun part, short travel rock gardens. Trusting Hannah's line here, keeping her in frame. And right away, I have been noticing the Zip Moto wheels being really compliant. It almost feels like just a tad extra give in the rim. It is a carbon reel set, but that little bit of extra kind of push feels really nice. Woo, we survived. This is the up and over section. Can she do it on the XC bike? Yes. Can she make the climb though? Downshift, downshift. Oh, she made it. I still got to make it up. Boom. No problem.
I was kind of nervous going into that. I was really nervous on the rock garden too. With these narrower tires, I'm used to 2.6s, these are 2.4s.
It's definitely a difference.
And the travel's a big difference from what I'm used to too, but it's good.
That was awesome. Woo. How did it feel in the rock garden?
Really sketchy.
Oh, no.
I'm just not used to it. You know, I feel like riding the HD5 all the time, like I don't really pay attention to my skills that much. I kind of just like haul and like plow into things. So I'm trying to like be a little more agile and move my body in the right ways.
Rad. Well, let's make it down the rest of the trail. Well, you guys, hopefully you enjoyed that ride. Let's talk about just some original first impressions, how it does uphill, how it goes downhill, and then our thoughts on these build setups right now. So even though it is set up a little bit more on the aggressive side, I definitely have to give it to this bike, where on the climbs, the efficiency is definitely there, both in and out of the saddle. I never had this thing locked out, and I thought both in and out of the saddle, the bike did exceptionally well, so I was definitely impressed with it there. The only thing I will say, in terms of the seat angle, I did feel like it was a tad slacker than I thought it would be. On paper, they are showing a 76-degree seat angle, and I personally thought it was a little bit slacker than that. I'm not sure how the effective seat angle is or what's going on there. But yeah, overall in climbing, very efficient, still somewhat active in that initial stroke, but a really good climber overall. This bike definitely kills it on the downhill. A lot of that is going to be attributed to the Geo. 65.5 degree head angle is really close to a lot of Enduro 29ers on the market currently. And when I first hopped on this bike and I was flying down the trail, one thing that I was kind of confused about is why I felt so comfortable right away. And then I realized that that head angle is not off a lot of bikes that I've been riding and have ridden over the last few years. 65.5 on a 120mm 29er. If you told me that was what bikes bikes were gonna be 5 years ago, I'd be like, that's crazy, but it works. So even though this bike crushes it on the downhill, stays very stable, has an active initial stroke, the end of that 120 millimeters of travel in the rear of this bike is pretty apparent when it does end. What I noticed is when the trail started to get kind of hairy or chunky, you kind of realize fairly quick, like, oh, whoa, like this bike doesn't have as much travel as my enduro bikes. Saying that I like to use is you can take any bike down any trail. It just depends on how fast you want to go down it and how safe you want to stay as well. So I do think, yes, you do get the stability from the head angle and that adjustable chainstay, but at the same time, 120 millimeters travel at the end of the days is going to be 120 millimeters of travel.
What's up, you guys? Hannah here. I figured I'd just give you guys a little bit of a quick review of this bike. I really enjoyed this bike. I felt like on the climbs, I got a lot of acceleration out of it. I felt really fast. It reminds me of my XC days. And on the downhills, it did feel pretty stable for how XC this bike is. I did have to work on my line choice a little bit, but that's just rider's error. That's just my fault. As Mo said, I do have the more XC version of this bike, so I have the Recon 2.4s on here. I did feel like I struggled a little bit with traction, but these tires are really fast, and I think it was worth it. But yeah, I do lose a little bit of traction with these tires, and also they're tan walls, so I feel a little faster, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. But overall, this build is pretty baller. I mean, I have the 12-speed XX1 AXS on here. It's super smooth. I don't have any complaints. I don't think anyone does with AXS, but I don't know, maybe you do. Of course, the purple in my eyes just looks way better than that yucky yellow Mo is right.
Whoa! I like the yellow.
I don't know, the purple's really cool. It's like almost black. It's kind of like a really dark plum, I think.
You're also biased.
Oh yeah, I am. I got my flamingo socks on too. Sweet, and then that's this bike. I liked it. I don't know how to end it.
I feel like the Santa Cruz TallBoy is that bike that you can essentially have two wheel sets for, and you can kind of take it out on different missions. Say there's a day where you know you're going to be putting in cross-country miles, you're going out with a group, you don't want to get dropped, put on your cross-country wheels, put on your cross-country tires. Now, say there's a day where you know you're going to be hitting more aggressive trails, you still want a bike that's going to be able to kind of have you either keep up with your friends or put a good pace on the climbs. You don't want your bike to hold you back too much from your trail selection, then put on your more burly wheel set. And I will say that this bike, it has a lot of potential on the downhills. So yeah, you guys, those are our first impressions on the Santa Cruz TallBoy. I am really curious, who feels like this is the sweet spot for their riding? Do you feel like you need more travel or less travel? Just curious to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely hit that like button. If you guys want more mountain bike content from us, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, you guys, ride awesome. Ew.
Also, let us know what bike you want us to review next.
You heard her.
Yep.
Let us know.
Okay, bye.